Hey guys, my name is Paul, and my mission is to eradicate anxiety in youth that live in London, but also just in general, just to help people that are struggling with anxiety. Check out my Patreon, the link will be in the bio. So, this video, we're going to talk about how anxiety is not that big of an issue, it's not that big of a problem, it's not always a bad thing. So, actually, yesterday, me and my friend were talking and speaking about, well, several of my friends, we were talking about anxiety. And it's actually interesting when you question other people about it, like something that I do literally make videos on and stuff like that. But it's just amazing to get like other people's perspective on what they think anxiety is, what it means to them, how they're battling with it, what problems they go through. And it was really interesting. What came up was anxiety is not, well, one, anxiety is not necessarily like a negative thing. Like, people can get anxiety about good things, and I think I have spoken about this in a previous video. I just wanted to reiterate this. Like, people can actually have anxiety about something good happening. Crazy, isn't it? Like, literally, you could be anxious about like a good thing about to happen. You could be anxious like for releasing a music video. You could be anxious about, starting or launching your first business. You could be anxious to, let's say you have like a distance relationship, and you're finally getting to meet your partner for the, in such a long time, maybe several months. You could be anxious to see her for the first time in like several months. There's so many things you could be anxious for, but that are positive things. It's just about realigning the emotions, the attachment to the emotions, to being more of a positive thing. So, you know how I told you how like your conscious and subconscious mind, the more things you do consciously, the more you react consciously to certain things, certain scenarios. So let's just say if something was to stress you out, don't lose me here because I know this is like a lot of information, but let's say you was consciously, making decisions to do things throughout your day. All these conscious decisions, they build up, and then eventually subconsciously you'll start, like, let's say if a stress, let's say, I don't know, a brick drops on your toenail. Instead of like, you know some people, they tend to like start shaking, jumping about, pressing their face in anguish. And you can tell like there's a lot of pain. Maybe some people tend to shout out. Like, these are all okay responses. But now let's say a little thing happened, you cut yourself, you graze yourself, maybe you got like a paper cut, and then you give off this same reaction, like s- pressing your face, swearing, shouting, in pain, moving frantically, like basically increasing your heart rate, and then worst of all, like getting negative thoughts in your mind. Just like, the more you just consciously, so the more you make like a decision, knowing, so knowingly, the conscious is just like knowing, what you're doing. So every time you make an action that's like you're doing this, eventually when it comes to like subconsciously, when it comes to just your body reacting naturally, it will follow your previous responses that you've taken consciously, because this is how your body registers. Like, if this thing happens, because you've reacted like this or responded like this the last 10 times, you will respond like this again. So it could be two different people going through the exact same thing, but one person, it doesn't matter. You could literally break his rib cage, and he will still, he might be in a lot of pain, but he will keep all the stress inside. He will probably focus on his breathing, try to, just stay positive. It's really hard, obviously, when you're in pain to stay positive, but for the people that, practice this, building it up consciously, and then obviously subconsciously, when it does happen, they're less likely to, show off or give off that they're in like an anxious state, or, nervous or in pain or stressed out. So it's just perspective. Of course, I truly do believe perception beats reality. And the reason I believe this is because the reality of the situation might be that, this person might not necessarily be anxious, but because and the person, the reality is maybe the person's not actually anxious about anything, but because obviously this person always reacts or responds anxiously to like minor situations. Now, when he's just, you know, maybe he's on a train packed with people, you can tell like on his face, he seems anxious, maybe sweating, certain signs and stuff like that. Maybe, shaking or head down, just giving off or executing like nervous energy, very timid, body language. But from the outside within, people can tell like, oh, is like, is this guy good? Or so you want to make sure that you change your conscious decisions by obviously reacting, responding, and having the right thoughts in your mind as things that are bad are happening, and also like, jovial things that are like amazing, good things, celebrations. You want to always make sure that your reactions are very balanced. You don't want to be like too high or too low. You always want to keep like a nice neutral ground, and that will just keep that, the consistency of those subconscious, thoughts or reactions to just be stable as possible. Because you don't want to be in a situation where something good is about to happen, you get overly excited, and then that actually ruins your chance of the good thing happening. And also, you don't want to be in a situation where a bad thing has happened and you put yourself so much more like down about yourself. So like you get so anxiously terrified about this thing happening, or because you could have fear, it could be a thought, it could be like physical, but you react to like the maximum level of this output, and then you actually suffer the consequences of, being more down, needing a break, needing, to improve your mental health and state. And there's just more things you need to do consciously to like tackle that, when if you just in that moment was just more balanced, was more calm, more or less reactive, breathing, drinking water if you could, if it was around you, but like just, focusing on trying to build that stability of like balanced behavior. If you can do that and like practice being more like, balanced, so not too high, not too low, just being more balanced. You can smile, you can be upset, but going overboard, like starting to like frantically like move, or like constantly worrying or fearing something negative in your mind, like that would just make your situation worse. Like I said, anxiety doesn't need to be a good or bad thing. People get anxiety about good things and people get anxiety about bad things, but I think what's most important is focusing on how you can change the way you respond, the way you behave, and the way you think in that situation. Genuinely, if you can change those three things, so like actionable step today, guys, anytime you go through a situation where you feel anxious, or even just like it could be a negative situation, it could be a positive situation, always try to bring yourself back and like remind yourself that like, how am I responding in this situation? And obviously your responses could be thoughts, behaviors, and also response is one of them as well. But thoughts, your behaviors, and your response to the situation. So always just try to keep in mind, just be more self-aware, like be more aware of your body, how it reacts, how it feels. That's why I always say practice meditation, because then when you meditate, like you actually sit back, you relax, you close your eyes, and you can focus on every increment of your body, and you start to notice that like some things are like out of place. But as you breathe, these things start to calm down, start to go away, thoughts start to come in your mind. So it's like breathing actually tackles all these responses that anxiety can give you. So obviously, I'm not saying like in a negative situation, go breathe, go meditate, or just literally take a breathe, like just take a nice deep breath in and just breathe it out. But obviously, make sure the breath out is longer. What you don't want to do is reduce your heart rate too low if you're someone that faints. So I was actually watching a podcast yesterday by Andrew Huberman, and he mentioned that if your heart rate gets too low, you're more likely to like pass out. So you don't want your like heart rate to go too low or like substantially low. You want it to be like, a comfortable pace. You just want to reduce it like higher than any. So it's kind of like the balance thing that I was talking about earlier. You want to make sure that it's not too high and it's not too low. So obviously check for your age and stuff like that. What's a good indication of a heart rate? And I think our phones have, some way to like scan. If you have like an iPhone, 13 or 12 Pro, I think, you can literally like download an app and, just scan to see how fast your heart rate is. Whilst also like the Apple Watches, there's so many other products out there just to be checking on your heart rate and to keep it, reduced but not so low that you literally pass out. Because I've been making videos in the past and I've told you guys, yeah, reduce your heart rate. But I've realized that, like, yes, it's good to reduce your heart rate, but don't reduce it too much to the point where, like, literally your heart rate is too low now, because that's not good. Because then you could pass out and so many other like issues and stuff like that. So genuinely, don't feel like anxiety is a bad thing. Just try to balance your emotions, balance your thoughts, your responses, and also your behaviors to certain situations. And I truly do believe that anxiety will have less of a grip on you, and you can just be more in control of your body and your thoughts and your emotions, because you truly deserve that. You deserve to be in control of yourself, and like you wasn't put in the world to be controlled by like environmental factors or you know just responses in your body because you just haven't treated yourself right or you're not doing the right things to cater to your body. So hopefully you found some value from this video, and I truly do believe this would have helped you, and if it didn't, at least you've learned something new. I'm not always going to be right. Like I'm not like a doctor. I'm still learning about this, and I still watch a lot of materials like pertaining around anxiety. So don't see me like as a one fix all. Like if I tell you to do one thing, that's going to fix, and if it doesn't fix it, then I'm a scammer, I'm a liar. No, guys, I'm still learning. I'm still giving you my own personal experiences. I'm still, trying to teach you guys how I've overcome my anxiety and how you can get there faster. But I think what's very important is make sure that you don't allow your mind to be like, don't let your mind consume you. And if it is consuming you, make sure it's like positive thoughts. Make sure it's like, dreams, goals, ambitions. Like that's what your mind should be like consuming you on. And don't focus on the destination, focus on the journey, because if you focus on the destination all the time, you'll feel like, oh, it's too hard. Like, especially if you have big goals, you'll feel like, oh, it's too hard, and that'll put you in like an anxious state. Whereas if you focus more on the journey, like, you want to get ripped by next year summer, and you just keep thinking of how you're going to look when you're ripped, rather than just literally taking the small step, getting out of bed, getting your gym clothes ready, going to the gym, putting in 30 minutes in the gym today, and then, ticking that off. You've done one gym session. Maybe thinking more like objectively, like I will go to 20 sessions in the gym this month, and then like have a calendar and stuff like that, tick it off, have all the days you're going gym, etc., and all the days where you'll be busy. So like actually have like an action plan towards how you get to your goal. Don't be so fixated on your goal. Yes, like planning and having goals is amazing, but I think when it gets to a point where like you're so fixated on the goal that like you're not even putting any actions towards getting there, then that's actually more like worse for you. That's probably worse, because now you're just worrying about this thing that you haven't achieved in the last 3 years. You feel bad about yourself, you feel down, you even say things that make you feel down, like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Like I have friends that like they put themselves down with words. When you say these things, you're literally saying it, hearing it, and then putting it back in your thought. So it's just like a constant cycle. And then almost like, I truly do believe like words are powerful. So whatever you say, that's why you never see me like saying bad things on like camera, because I don't want to like influence people to be like that, because words are like powerful and they come to fruition. So like especially people that have like problems that I know they can change these problems, and they keep telling themselves, like around me, they're like, no, I'd never be able to do that. I can't, like, have you seen me? I can't do that. Like, I'm just like, brother, if you just one, change that mindset, two, to take a deep breath, calm yourself down, and then three, just take the action towards getting towards that goal. How the hell would you never be able to achieve it? Yeah, you'll never be able to achieve it if you keep telling yourself you'll never be able to achieve it. So guys, genuinely, anxiety is not like it's not like a big bad wolf. It's not a bad thing. So get that out of your mind. It can be bad if you let it, but we're not gonna let that happen to us. We're a strong community of people that are going to be anxiety free, and we work towards that. So make sure you check out my Patreon, and I love you guys all. Take care, guys. Peace. We out. Peace.